Right. Hey, guys. So my name's Krishnaa. Some of you obviously know who I am. I'm a postdoc in the Conscious Group, as he's mentioned several times. Before I actually kick off, I've got a couple things to caveat, maybe I should say. So I've worked alongside Korosh for getting on 10 years. That's a scary number. But equally, he isn't the only person I've worked for. So I've worked in 6 different departments and I've worked in industry. Yes, I definitely look younger than I truly am. And currently I split my time working for a different research group as well as this one. Okay, so I don't say this purely because he's my boss, but I do say some of it because he's also my friend. And there are many reasons along the way that you'll hear about today. Before I properly kick off on telling you some of the results from this experiment, can I just get a show of hands? Who in this room is doing research, affiliated with research? Come on, proud hands, please. Okay, hands up. Keep them up just for a second. Everyone look around who are in the front so you can have a see. Most of them in the room are there. Now, those of you who have your hands up, how much of your work was dependent on people who came before you? PhD student, MPhil student, someone who started before you. Okay. How much of your work, barely no hands have gone down, by the way. How much of your work do you think is going to carry on when your tenure is done here? So when you submitted your master's or your grant contract is over? Okay, 1 or 2. Okay, all right, fine. Maybe I was being a bit more ambitious than that. Basically, what I was trying to get at is none of us are here because of us alone. Right, Korosh mentioned this the phrase "standing on the shoulder of giants" because everyone who came before us kind of shapes what we do, how we do it, and the way we do it. Every day we walk into work, we walk into an environment that someone else has created before us. The culture, the attitude, the environment we're in. Even way back when, Sir Isaac Newton mentioned if he has seen further than others, it's because he's standing up on the shoulder of those before him, the giants before him. And we carry this forwards, right? And this is kind of the start of what I feel is the important component of research culture and why it should matter to each and every one of us. Okay, we're at Cambridge. We're definitely considered the elite. Those of us who are doing postgraduate research studies are then considered the elite of the elite, academically speaking. So we're ambitious. We want more, we want to try more, we want to do more. And it doesn't matter what it is we want to do, right? Whether it's getting that degree, whether it's going off and winning weird rewards and doing things that make us happy and passionate. The important thing is that we want to keep doing more. But in academia, the thing we've got to remember is go get what you want. But don't get in anybody else's way in doing that, because that's when things go a bit wrong. Because if you start making life difficult for others around you, when you need the help and when you need the support, they might not be there for you. And that kind of matters, right? And that's part of the idea of the culture that comes with it. And to do that, as Korosh was mentioning, is you kind of have to break up that hierarchy a little bit. And some of the really interesting ways that experiments have happened and we've done is dress up. It's a cool way of doing it, Everyone looks just as ridiculous as the next. And it doesn't matter how much effort or how little effort you put in, but we're all having fun, and it's almost easier to have a conversation when the person is dressed up in something so you can't really remember who they are day to day. It does make a little bit of a difference. And another way you can start to level the playing field a little bit is feeding time, right? We all can feed ourselves, that's fine. But when you're cooking as a group, we've got a unified goal. It's very similar to research in most labs. It's a unified approach. We're all trying to achieve something together. But you're going to make sure the people who are good at what they're doing are the people who are leading the charge. All right? There's examples here of, we were making dumplings. Now, Korosh is a great PI, but I'm not trying to let him be in charge of folding the dumplings, because we'd either never eat or all get food poisoning. Right? So instead, we had a couple of others. We, in fact, had Tom, who sat at the back there. He's a research assistant at the time in the group, and he was leading the charge because, my goodness, were his dumplings beautiful. They were so pretty when he folded them. And here's a good example of them. We had mountains of these beautiful dumplings, and we ate well that day for sure. But to give more of a context on it, it's really that thinking and that thought about the people we work with every day. All right. In most businesses and in most kind of industrial contexts, it's okay to have a 9-to-5 life, go to work, leave work, and leave your work at work. As research scientists, I think it would be absurd for us to admit or even suggest that we ever truly switch off. Because I can't believe anyone who's done any research who hasn't thought of an idea when they're doing something completely different. You don't switch off from it. It is something we do. It's something almost inherent to who we are. So getting to know the people you work around, what they love, what they hate, what they like, what they do outside of work matters, because it means that you know them better. You know who you can get to. You know who you can ask for different things. You start to learn to know who's the morning person, so you know who to talk to in the morning and who to talk to when it's late at night. If you're locked out at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know who to call. You also know who not to call because they sleep like the dead. But unless you know them, you don't get to know that part of them. And you don't know how to use that to your advantage, but it also, you don't understand how that starts to matter. Part of it is also, when it comes to that, is if people know you and you know people, you can kind of be yourself a lot more in that environment. You can bring your whole self. You can turn around and go, hey, this is happening at home, I've got to run. And everybody who knows you well enough is going, yeah, I got it, I understand. Go, I'll take care of it for you. Because they know what your priorities are and why you're giving something up for something else. And it doesn't mean you don't care about your work. Sometimes you're put in a position where you've got to choose, do I go to that training because then I can get picked for the team? Or do I sit here and finish this, don't get selected, and maybe my cells will get infected anyway and it won't matter? But if someone stood right there going, I get it, go, I can do this, it's not a problem. I mean, it happened the other day. And we do this in the lab all the time. But we always expect it to kind of fit these scenarios. And we don't bring ourselves because we're not wanting to be ourselves. I very much believe this is a really great saying that helped me really think through this, in that if we can bring ourselves entirely to work, work becomes a natural reflection of who we are and our personality as well. And in doing so, we perform better because we love what we do. And trust me, I love what I do. I get up quite often at 7 o'clock in the morning and I am cheery when I do it because I know what I'm doing it for and I love what I do it. Along the way, it helps when small gestures come along and things make you a little bit happy. It's cautious mentioning our happiness glove. This is a depiction of the old happiness locker, and in it lies coffee cuts. Costa's open 24 hours for those of you who don't realise that's why they're there. Food at all times. And various different bits and pieces. It's not a lot, but it matters and it makes everyone feel appreciated. And we all want to work in a place where we're respected, we're appreciated. And every so often someone just says thank you when you've done something. All right. Kind of getting on to that, there's, for me, kind of the meat and potatoes of this kind of story is there's always been a little bit of a disconnect between the science we do and the scientists we are. So I wanted to get you all to start to think about it a little bit in a different way. So I plot a lovely chart. Performance, what you did day to day, against trust. Now, the way I describe trust is your performance is what you do at work. Your trust is the work you do that's not work, if you see what I mean. How you perform your science versus how you perform as a human. So would I trust you with my pet, my child, my cat, my wallet, etc. And we know for sure that we don't really want people down there. If you don't trust them and they can't do their job, I'm not sure you want them. Folk up there, they're what we all aspire to. They're all the kind of people we want to hire. But they're a very, very small proportion of the globe. So you start to think about, well, what's the next best thing? Do you want a high performer that you don't trust? Or do you want someone you trust who kind of gets the job done eventually or might need a bit of help along the way? Now I know where I stand. I'd personally go, I want, this doesn't quite do what I want. I want the one that's sort of the medium performer that I trust, because I know I can teach a person and I know people can learn, especially in this institution. So learning to have someone who's got your back, knowing someone will have your back and someone will look after you, I kind of trust that a little bit more. This is a really great example of what I think a good person that you trust is, right? But it made me to start to think that we need to start changing the metrics, and some of the conversation that we had as a group developing this idea of disrupting the way we look at things kind of helped us think through that. So how do we start to make this change happen? The easiest way is to obviously look after the team, look after the people you work with, have their back, because if you have their back, chances are they're going to have yours. And that's kind of something that the more I start to read around it and the more I start to understand it, it starts to show that what makes a great team isn't the team with all the money. It isn't the team with all the smartest people. It's the team that is willing to go that extra mile for each other. And that's really what the strengths are. And to do that, we all have to be quite honest with each other in doing so. Especially through the academic world where things can get very tough and we're all very, very stretched and expected to deliver more than it says on a piece of paper. No one ever really wants to admit that they've got a job they haven't got a clue how to do. No one truly will stand up and say, I need help, or I kind of screwed up, or I'm scared of what I'm about to try and do, I'm worried. We don't talk about it. But it's not to say none of us have felt it. Right? No one wants to admit those weak points because that idea of weakness makes us feel like we might get cut from the team. That's the best way I can describe it. But in reality, it's not really a competition. If you can see someone who's struggling and you go, hey, this is fine, I could show you how to do that, or I can help you with this and we can work together and let's go through this together. That person's not struggling, you kind of feel better about yourself and both of you are moving forwards and doing something better and getting things done. And that's kind of what needs to happen more and more. Most of us have been overwhelmed, have been there. So the next time you see someone struggling, don't just walk away because you don't know how to help them. Kind of step back and go, I was there once. What would I have wanted? Be that change, see that change and do it. You know, if you don't make the change or don't try to change it, you're effectively propagating it and acknowledging that it's okay. And that's something I strongly personally believe, and I feel that some of the changes we've done as a group has started to make more of that happen as a day-to-day and as a norm. Part of it comes from the fact that we kind of work in a different aspect, and it makes me think about things in a different way. So this is my slightly crazy family at home. It's not all of them, it's just a few of them. I get to see them once every year, once every other year. They live in Hong Kong, it's a long way away. But this is my family that I see every day. And this, and this, and this. And you get the point, right? We kind of hang out with these guys all day, every day, most of the year. And in reality, the more we get to know each other, the more we behave like a family. We look out for each other, we tell each other off, we help each other out, we support each other. We tell someone when they could be doing something slightly better. And it doesn't need to be kind of, points counted, oh, they said something negative to me, I'm going to be mean to them next time. It's just about working together. And this was quite a nice example of when we tried to get the whole group together in 2021. So this is a collection of people that, off the back, I think we just got in touch with them within a few months. Everyone was like, yeah, we'll come up for, an afternoon in Cambridge. I think we were only missing a couple who were actually out of the country. Otherwise, the rest of the team were there, family, kids, etc., all attending. And it kind of makes me feel that we all work very, very hard. But it's just that attitude that makes it change. So we go from working hard for someone or something that doesn't really matter, and often that refers to be added pressure and stress, but working hard for something you care about or someone you care about, and suddenly that changes. It's the same amount of work, your attitude changes towards it, and it's called passion. And I'm going to stop there.